The great Josh Allen.
How you doing?
Man? Good to see you,
Coach.
Everything all right?
Doing great. How you doing?
Yeah, fun to be here.
I appreciate you.
Fun to be here.
Thanks
Yeah,
to be a part of this.
yeah, it's awesome. It's awesome. Thanks for taking the time.
Yeah.
I'm amazed by your story. You grew up on a farm.
Mm-hmm.
What'd you learn from that?
I think the most important thing, seeing from my parents, is just one, how tight-knit our family was, and the football team is very much like a family. And then two, the hard work that my dad showed to us as kids, you know, waking up before sunrise, coming home after sunset, and making sure that there's food on the table. So yeah, I think just tight family and hard work.
Yeah, I think your journey is incredible. I think if you ask anybody who knows anything about football and quarterbacks, they'd stack up your physical ability against anybody who's ever played the game. You get no scholarship offers coming out of high school.
Yeah, I was kind of a wee little lad coming out of high school. I was, you know, junior year, I was probably 6'1", 160 pounds, soaking wet. So I get why there was no real interest. Then my senior year, I felt like I got a little bit bigger, a little heavier. Felt like I could throw the ball pretty decently and still nothing.
Sure you could.
So went the junior college route and only started about 6 or 7 games there. But got one opportunity at the University of Wyoming and I took it.
Yeah. Tell me about that journey and how that impacts you right now.
Yeah, if I could go back and change it, I wouldn't change a thing. I think I was where I was supposed to be. It taught me a lot about myself, how to handle adversity. I mean, just so many life lessons, again, that I probably wouldn't have learned if I was a big recruit, if I did go to, you know, a big school. So it was, it allowed me to kind of, I think, get to where I needed to be in order to be where I'm at today.
Do you still have a little chip on your shoulder from those experiences?
Absolutely, absolutely. I think it'll always be a part of me and how I play the game. I play a little bit differently, I think, than most guys when you think of quarterbacks that play in the NFL. I love this game. I'm willing to do whatever it takes to help my team win a football game, and I just love being around the guys in the locker room and get to go out there and play for them.
That's awesome. So you're growing up in Northern California, your first memories of watching NFL football.
Yeah.
What are they?
I was a big 49er fan. So we had Jeff Garcia, again, a guy that was kind of run around, dodge, make some stuff happen. We had Tim Rattay, Sean Hill, we had Ken Dorsey. Finally, Alex Smith came around. And then Coach Harbaugh became the coach. That's when they finally started to get good. So my entire life, they weren't very good. And, you know, it's just kind of ironic now we are playing them this week, and that's a team that I grew up rooting for. And we went to a lot of games growing up and tailgated quite a bit there. One of my first memories, we were at a 49er tailgate, and I was maybe 4 or 5, and I was playing catch with my dad, and told my dad just like, throw it this time. I really want you to throw it as far as you can. He did. I caught it. It was like one of those old rubber footballs that had the 49er pattern on it. It hit my forearms so hard, and they were red and basically bruised up for a week. But when I caught that ball, everybody that was in the tailgate area started clapping and cheering for me, and I was like, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life.
How about that?
Yeah.
That's a great story. Who was your favorite Niner player?
Favorite Niner player? I got to play with him, Frank Gore, which was a dream come true to me. I had his jerseys growing up. He knew about that, and he actually got me a 49er jersey the year after that he played here. So I'm very thankful for him and the opportunity to play with him. It was really cool.
That's so good.
Yeah.
Any extra motivation this week playing those guys?
No, not anymore. Not anymore. I think that, again, it's still like people in the area that I'm from, though. They're typically a Niners or a Raiders fan. So I guess a lot more people from hometown are tuning in for this one, but for me, it's just another game, Sunday night, just trying to go 1-0.
Yeah, what's the key for you guys to win this game?
I think if we run the ball effectively, obviously the weather's going to be a factor. And again, making sure that I'm playing within the elements, but playing within myself, just trying to find the open guy and take care of the football at the end of the day.
Let's talk about the weather. How do you describe Buffalo's weather?
You can't, I don't know if you guys can tell through the windows or not.
It's coming down sideways.
It's coming down sideways. There's going to be some wind. Our stadium, if you don't play in it often, like I feel like I can recognize the wind patterns now of what balls need to be thrown where, if you need to drive it a little more. And I won't say that on air, so I don't want anybody else knowing, but there is certain things that you should know playing in the stadium of, again, where the wind affects the ball the most. And I think, again, the most important thing while throwing in the elements is like this, you have to throw a spiral. You can't, if it comes out a little funky from your hand, the wind takes the nose and you have no idea where that ball's going to go. So just making sure that mechanics and focusing on the fundamentals and making sure that that ball comes out tight.
Is there something specifically you're doing with your technique to make sure you're spinning it?
I mean, I think maybe dropping the arm a little bit and being a little more sidearm. I think the ball spins a little bit better if you lower it just slightly, but it's still rotating around it and making sure that it's coming off this fingertip. When you get over the top, sometimes it doesn't. When you're down here, it's kind of got no choice but to roll off that finger. So that's one thing that I try to do. But again, just mechanically making sure that my base is good, my head's still, and I'm rotating through it.
Yeah. You know, Marv Levy, who coached here forever, he had some great line where he said, you know, when it gets a little too tough for them, it's perfect for us. A lot of this is your mentality, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I got a quote, too, from Coach Bull, who's my coach in college at Wyoming. And he said, if you want to win in the North Atlantic, you got to train in the North Atlantic. So we've been out, we were outside today when the snow was coming down sideways, sitting by the heaters, making sure that we're getting used to the elements. So that's just a leg up that we have here in Buffalo. If we know what to expect, we're able to practice in it. But at the end of the day, all comes down to Sunday night.
Yeah. Does it ever wear on you when you come out of the building and there are 3 flags going whipping, whipping, whipping? Is there ever kind of mentally wearing you down like, God, I got to go out and throw in this again?
I'd be lying if I said no, right? Like, as quarterbacks, you want the most perfect conditions. You want the dome. But at the end of the day, like this is playoff football weather. We're entering December here, and again, we're gonna have to try to find ways to win in this type of weather. And this is what I think the last, really, I don't know how many, but if you go back to Super Bowl winners of what teams that play in weather conditions like this, they're typically the ones that continue playing.
No doubt. There's no doubt about it. The nature of the NFL, every year is different. Players come and go. It's just what the NFL is all about. How is this team different than the teams you've played on in the past?
We got a little younger this offseason, and you know, everybody wanted to write us off. We understood that, but I think the expectations were extremely low outside of the building. But inside this building with the guys that we have in this locker room, we're so internally driven here that doesn't matter what anybody else is going to say about us. We're going to go out there and try to play football the right way, and then play for each other. And I think if you look at just the total of the 53, and if you include the practice squad, all 75 guys in this locker room, we thoroughly enjoy being around each other. We thoroughly enjoy going out and playing with each other. We're hanging outside out the facility, so it's a pretty tight-knit bond. Yeah.
Does your role change when maybe some of the veteran guys leave and it becomes a younger team?
I mean, I think you have to get a little bit more vocal, which isn't my strong suit. I'm the first one to admit that I don't like to say a whole lot. I like to go do. And if it's one thing, I get to show who these guys are by how we start working in OTAs and throughout training camp, and how hard I work and how much I love this game and how much I love my teammates. So if it's that, I hope that they've learned that from me, and I do feel proud of the culture that we have here in Buffalo.
Yeah, let's talk about your development. You come in here 7th pick of the draft. In the first couple of years, anybody who knows football, they see it. They're like, wow, this guy's going to be something else. But there are some rocky times and some inconsistency there. Any point in those first couple of years that was kind of an inflection point for you in your development?
I think so. I think it was the game at home against New England my second year. I threw 3 interceptions in the first half. Got reamed on the sideline. And from that point on, I just kind of like thought to myself of like, all right, I gotta change some things. I gotta find a way to protect the ball a little bit better. And I think that was probably the most important point in my career to this date of, you know, when something in me like clicked and I understood it. So, and again, it's evolving and you're still trying to learn and understand it as you continue to grow. And, you know, I think there's 2 types of guys in this league, guys that get figured out and guys that figure it out, and I'm trying to be the guy that figures it out.
Well, I think you are. Talk about that fine line. You want to play within the system. A couple weeks ago, 4th and 2, the biggest play of the game. Here we go, Josh Allen. And you step up in those moments. Has that line and that balance changed for you over the course of your career? And does it change based on game and situation?
One, I think it's solely focused on situation. And again, I think early in the game, probably not necessary to do some things like that and put your body on the line. But when it's, you know, late in that 3rd or 4th quarter, and it's like, I got to make a play for my team. I'm going to put out all the stops and see what I can do. And sometimes, you know, you go back to that play, probably should have alerted it to our zone concept. I had a man concept on, and they played man earlier, or zone earlier in the game. I thought that they'd switch it up and go to man, and I didn't. But fortunately, again, play breaks down. It's make a play time, and we made a play.
Yeah, nobody does it better than you. I've said this publicly a lot about you. I have so much admiration. I think you're just a rare player. But for a few years there, I felt like Josh Allen has to make 60 plays in the game. And at some point, it doesn't work out well at the end because he's been carrying this team in this city for the last 3 hours. I feel like this team is a little different. It's a little bit more balanced. You guys have that everybody eats expression that's going on. Do you feel that way? Do you feel like there's a little less pressure on you throughout the game, getting everybody else involved?
For sure. And I think that everybody's been doing a good job of making sure that they're on the practice field and practicing hard. Our run game with James Cook and Ray Davis. And I think we have the best third down back in the league with Ty Johnson. The things that he's able to do, the way that we communicate, especially on third down, is very important for our offense. And then you got a bunch of guys at receiver and tight end position, again, that they're okay with running the clear out. They're okay with, going in there and blocking a safety or a linebacker or a DB, whatever the case may be. And guys that just don't care about the credit, they just want to win football games. And when you have that type of recipe, good things typically happen.
Yeah, no doubt. We talked about your development, the impact of Sean McDermott on that.
Yeah, I mean, again, just the things that we've grown together on over the last, I'm in my seventh year now, seventh year. The relationship that we have, it continues to grow, it continues to evolve. I think he's so good in situational football, especially relating it to the team. In team meetings of, hey, these are some examples from around the league of what not to do. And I'm showing you this so that we can adjust, and if we're ever in this situation, that at least I've given you a clear understanding of what we should do. So, again, as football progresses, it feels like it kind of changes and it goes back and forth of what it used to be with the two high defenses now, and kind of just finding underneath checkdowns and protecting the football. But again, Coach McDermott he's been in my ear this entire time. And again, I think our win percentage when we win the turnover battle is through the roof compared to when we don't. So that's one thing that he always harps me on.
How has he impacted you, maybe empowering you as a leader on this team?
Yeah, this was a couple years ago where we weren't off to the greatest start. This may have been last year. Weren't off to the great start, and he just kind of looked at me and says, I'm not going to say anything. Like, I'm giving you the keys. Go lead this team, and I'm just trying to go out there again and play to the best of my ability, play as hard as I can play. But he has, over the course of my 7 years with him, early on, it was kind of the micromanage and hover over and make sure that my quarterback's doing the right things. And then we started winning. He's like, you know what, like, I'm going to let you be you. And he really wants everybody that walks in this building to show their personalities. And we say, be you with us. So you're okay to be an individual in this locker room as long as you're doing it with everybody. And that's something I really appreciate about Coach.
He told us he tried to create an environment where everyone's the best version of themselves in pursuit of this team goal. But he said, you do an amazing job within that, keeping everybody loose.
Yeah.
Why is that important to you, and how do you do it?
I bust his chops any chance I get. Doesn't matter who's around. I always try to throw little digs in at Coach to just loosen him up a little bit. And I feel like, again, early on in my career, didn't work as well. And now, I feel like he even walks around and he starts playing some pranks on people. But I think that, again, the job that we have, it's hard enough. But at the end of the day, it's football. It is a game that we all played as kids. It's the same field. The ball is a little bit different. But at the end of the day, still 11 guys on the field. And it takes everybody in this facility to win and win consistently and go win the Super Bowl. And that's exactly what we're trying to do. But we should have fun doing it. This should be a fun process. It's the greatest job in the world, in my opinion. And I'm going to enjoy every second of it that I can do this job.
Yeah, ever since we're this high, we wanted to do it. Play and coach in the National Football League. So you better enjoy it once you get here.
Exactly.
Tell me about Joe Brady and his impact.
He's been awesome. He's been awesome. And the communication, the relationship that we have with each other, again, it continues to grow, but it's a special bond that me and him have, and I really appreciate him trusting me on the football field. I'm just trying to be an extension of what he's calling and understanding his brain of why he's calling a certain play. But there'll be times where I come off to the sideline in a timeout or TV timeout and just be like, hey, this is the play that I want. He's like, fine. Like, I want the thing that Joe does such a great job of, if we are convinced as players of certain plays that we want, he's going to call them, because us being convinced means that we're going to make that work in order to gain that trust. So he's very, very good at that, of letting guys feel like they have power, and that what they say actually means something to the offensive coordinator. You know, and we're winning football games with them, so that's all that matters.
That's great. I'm inspired by people breaking through ceilings. You know, there's a limit, okay, and then they break through, and then there's another, and they break through again. And there's so many great stories in the NFL of individuals and teams doing that.
Yeah.
I watch you guys. I have so much admiration for you and your team, but you've gotten close, you've gotten close, you've gotten close. Tell me what it's going to take to break through to get to that next level.
Well, again, I think one, winning our division, which we have an opportunity to do this Sunday, that allows you to get in the playoffs for sure. And that's all we're trying to do is find a way to get into the playoffs and gives ourselves a chance. And the more times you knock at the door, at some point somebody's going to open it. So we're just trying to put ourselves in good position to try to win the whole thing. And again, we've given ourselves a good start so far at 9-2, but a lot of work to be done, a lot of stuff that we need to learn as a team in order to get there. And again, I don't know what it takes because I've never been there. And we have to rely on some of the guys that have and trust what they've seen and how they've done it. But again, the more opportunities that you give yourself, the higher opportunities or higher probability that you'll get it done. So we're just trying to get it done.
Yeah, just draw inspiration from guys like Peyton Manning and so many others who had similar paths. When they broke through, they broke through. And you know, when it becomes Super Bowl or else, what do you find kind of enjoyable, kind of beyond all of that, about playing here for the Bills?
Well, I think the mindset of the entirety of Western New York is this is our year. And every year it's our year, right? So to have that excitement, that energy, that vibe, and the buzz that the city brings, I think most guys that have played elsewhere and they come here and they feel that, it's something different. It is such a cool spot to play for. Bills Mafia is the best. They love their team here, and you know, we love them as fans, and we couldn't do it without them. And I think that we'll hear them pretty loud and clear Sunday night.
Well, they love their quarterback, and their quarterback has an amazing spirit that inspires everybody.
Oh, thanks so much. I appreciate it. Yeah.
Thanks so much.
God bless you.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.